Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome back to another video on the second channel. And well, welcome back to another episode of JoJo Yup. So today I'm back with another part review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And today we are going to be talking all about part 6. So, well, let's get into it. So part 6 is actually the last part that's the last part of the anime for right now. From what we hear, there's a day called JoJo Day that's coming up. Most likely when that happens, part 7 will actually be announced to be animated. Right now, there's the fan dub, which I'm actually watching that right now, reading that right now for part 7, and yeah, but anyway, back to, part 6, so, let's talk about the main Jolene. She is, Jotaro's daughter. So in this part, we get to see more Jotaro as well. But we don't really see him in the middle of the part because of something that happens. So we kind of see him more in the beginning of the part and more at the end of the part. But what happens is, Jolene is the main Jo in this part. Jolene Cujo, and dude, her introduction, because it basically starts off in the prison, and, you know, and, I'm never gonna jerk off again. You just have to watch that scene. Her introduction is so funny. What a introduction to a character. But Jolene has her stand. It's called Stone Free, and I like her stand. I don't mind her stand because it allows her to take out her her threads and do all sorts of things with them. But I guess we'll talk about now, like, the main parts, the main group in this part. And basically we have Jotaro, but he doesn't really show up, because basically, I'll just say what happens. So basically, at the beginning of the part, we had the whole concept of stand discs, because this comes in effect with Poochie's, because Poochie is the villain in this part, but this is basically his original stand, White Snake. And basically, the stand discs allow him to take someone's stand and to take someone's memories. And during, like, one of the beginning fights, it's what happened with Jotaro. Yeah. So, I guess it's kind of like part 5 kind of has its own concept with requiems, like, at the end of the part. You only really get to see them at the end of the part. With part 6, that's only, like, when stand discs kind of show up. So you don't really get to see them. You only really get to see them in part 6, and you don't see them in any other part. And in part 7, we'll talk about that later, because it has some of its own concepts. that we'll get to in the Part 7 review. But anyway, back to that. So, alright, let's talk about the main group now. So, we have Jolene, of course. We have FF, or Foo Fighters. We have honestly, or in the dub, Anesthesia. And then we have Weather Report, and then we have Hermes. So that's pretty much the whole group. That's pretty much all the Joe Bros in this part. We have, of course, we have their stands. Hermes has her stand where she can have stickers and basically stick stuff to things. And then we have what else do we have? We have Weather Report's stand, which basically, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. It allows him to control the weather pretty much, and do all sorts of stuff. But we don't really know the full capabilities of his stand until later, and then we get to see his backstory, which I'm not going to explain it in this video. Just go watch it if you want to know, because I don't want to spoil it for you that much. So yeah, so but we have that Weather Report. We have Foo Fighters, Jolene, of course. Now, I guess we'll talk about the fights. In Part 6, there wasn't that much emphasis on the fights, kind of as there was in Part 5. It was kind of more about the plot, more about finding Father Pucci, which we'll talk about him here soon. But there were some kind of bad fights, but there were really, really good fights too. Like, for example, a really good fight in, like, the second half of Part 6 was Bohemian Rhapsody, which basically, that stand would allow characters, like fictional characters, to come alive, I guess. I guess that's the way that you can explain it. And they would trap people into their stories. And then I guess an example of a bad fight that I wanted to share is the dragon fight. Dude, it was, when I was watching it, I thought it was kind of one of the worst, I don't know if I would say it's like the worst fight in the world, but it was, I don't know, it was just not good. But, yeah, so, oh yeah, I just had the thought. I just wanted to mention something about stand disc and its concept in Part 6. I just remembered. So, there's some people that like it. There's some people that like the whole concept of, the memory of and their stand is involved, or is, you can make a disc out of it, and some people really don't. I'm kind of of the opinion of, I kind of like the concept, but it's not for really the reason you think. It's not because it really, like, helps helps Poochie or helps any of the villains or any of the antagonists or anyone. The reason I like it is because it logically makes sense for when the part was written and for when the part took place. Because the part was written in, like, I don't know, it was like 2002, 2003, something like that. That's when it was being written. And then it took place in 2011. So, like, when you logically think about it, that was, like, the peak time for, like, CDs and DVDs and discs. So, logically, the concept just makes sense, I guess. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the good stand fights I liked and the bad stand fights. Trying to remember the other stand fights. Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody was right before, well, not right before, but it was kind of before it was kind of before the event, which we'll talk about. But, well, yeah. But again, there was, like, cool stand fights, there was kind of bad stand fights. Oh, yeah, you know what was a really good one, too? Oh, what was that stand called? Oh, yeah, Schoolhouse Rock. It was, what was it? It was the stand that Jolene had to fight. It was not really a combative stand. But it was, basically, you could only remember this was around the time, I don't remember when this happened, but it was, like, around the time that, this fight happened around the time that they, like, almost, or they were oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? They were, trying to, devise their plan to escape prison. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Emporio. He's one of the child characters we meet. He's not a stand user. Oh yeah, this Mew Mew, that was the name of the stand user too. But Emporio, he was really smart. And we get to see him, like, at the end of the part 2, and it's just so good. But he's really smart for, like, a child character. But basically, Jolene and Emporio get attacked by this stand, and, well, they can only remember 3 things. So, I don't even know, like, the amount of time that this happens, but I know it happens for a while, where they can only remember 3 things, so they don't know how to get out of the prison. And, well, yeah. And so, well, that's the stand, Schoolhouse Rock. You can only remember 3 things, and, even though it wasn't really a combative stand like some of the others, it was still really cool. Oh yeah, and then part 6, I think we had, like, a couple, like, automatic stands, like we did in, like, part 5 and part 4. To be honest with you, I'm not really a big fan of automatic stands. Like, never really understood, like, not really the point of them, but, like, some of them are just, I don't know, some of them are just not really that good. Like, I don't know, some of those automatic stands are not really that good. But anyway, that's a cool stand fight. Well, It was well, I guess we'll talk about the end and, well, Poochie. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess we'll talk about Poochie, and that'll lead us toward the end, because I just remembered his whole relationship with Dio. So, basically, what was supposed to happen is Poochie's goal in this whole part, because in every part there's kind of a goal. Every villain kind of has a goal. Like in part 1, it was the mask. Part 2, it was the stone. Part 3, it was the arrow. Part 4, it was kind of the arrow too, but I don't know. Part 5, it was also the arrow. Well, yeah, part 5 was the arrow. And part 6 is, well, how do we get to heaven? And part 7 is, well, I'll share that when we get to the part 7 review. But each part has a goal, and basically this goal was to get to heaven. And the whole reason that Poochie stole Jotaro's memory disc, anyways, was to, well, try to reach that goal. Because his whole relationship with Dio and the way that worked is back like when the whole thing happened in like 1987 when Part 3 took place. And the Stardust Crusaders were, on their way to Egypt, and Dio was in Egypt. Dio basically knew the way for, he basically was a really good friend of Poochie and told him how he could, or tried to tell him how he could get into heaven. It was through some sort of notebook. But at the time, we didn't know all that stuff. But it was through this notebook, and Jotaro got a hold of that notebook, and, Jotaro got a hold of that notebook after he, defeated Dio, and that's why Poochie stole Jotaro's disc, to see the contents of that notebook, and how to get to heaven, and you had to do it on the day of the new moon. And, well, I guess before we get to, like, the ending, let's talk about Jotaro and Jolene and how their relationship kind of, evolved and all that stuff. So, yeah, so Jolene was Jotaro's daughter. Basically, again, Jolene was kind of sad because, but she was also really determined to try to get Jotaro's disc to the Speedwagon Foundation. And, well, and that was, that's kind of how Jolene was, that really determined. And, well, we got to see their relationship evolve at, like, the end of the part. And, well, let's talk about the end. So, Poochie. Well, before the new moon happens, we start, getting news about the whole Made in Heaven event. This happens right around the time that we hear about the whole weather report, backstory. And basically we find out that, Poochie stole Weather Report's memories as well, because Weather Report and Poochie used to be friends too. And now Weather Report is working with all the Joe Bros. And so, but basically, first he gets his second stand, or his stand to get him to Made in Heaven, which is Sea Moon. I like this stand. There was not really much to it, but I thought it was just still cool. And, well, the final fight, the Made in Heaven event. So, what happens is, well, it happened. So the whole Made in Heaven event, we kept getting, like, news reports. So basically how Made in Heaven worked is time would just keep speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. And for most of this fight, it was Jotaro trying to fight Pucci. Because at this point, Jotaro, he had his time-stopping ability with Star Platinum in the world. In part 4, when he used it, though, I just watched a video on this. In part 4, when he used it, though, it was only like a half a second. It was not like 3 seconds like it was in part 3. And then in part 6, it was back to like 5 seconds or something like that. But basically, it was a whole fight of manipulating time. And while Made in Heaven was speeding up time, Jotaro was trying to stop time, but time would speed up so much that time stops would only feel like 5-second time stops would only feel like half a second or something like that. So time speeds up so much that, well, the universe resets. We reach what I guess we'll call the end of the universe. Dude, the ending, oh my gosh, it was so sad, but it had to happen. It had to happen. Damn. It just had to happen. And that was the way that the show, or that the whole, like, manga and all that stuff was supposed to end. But, Araki kind of just wanted to keep writing it and doing more things with it. So, well, he didn't. He decided to keep going in the new universe. And when I thought about it, like, when I watched the end and I didn't watch part 7 yet, when I haven't started reading part 7, I haven't finished part 7, but I, like, started it. Like 34 chapters in, I think. And there's like 95 chapters, but anyway, when I finished part 6, I was sad that the new, oh yeah, because we got to see Emporio with Pucci in the new universe too. And Pucci was saying how, well, fate, drives us, and eventually we reach this goal, or this end of the universe, and, well, it loops back to, well, where we started. And basically, Jolene and all those other people were trapped in the old world, and, well, the new universe kind of started back when they were in prison again. But, yeah, dude, when I watched the end of part 6, or when I finished it, I was so sad to see the old universe, like, go away and be reset and turn into the new universe that we know now, or, like, in part 7 through 9. But also at the same time, the more I read part 7, the more I start to like the new universe. Because the new universe, like, has some really, really, really cool characters that I like, that we'll get to when I do my part 7 review. So, for example, Gyro. I have to name drop him here, just because right now he's one of my favorite characters in the show. Also, in part 5, I guess we'll talk about it, my couple of my favorite characters so far. Gyro, part 7, Doppio in part 5. The whole The whole Doppio fight was cool, too. But anyway, back to the end of part 6. But the whole, ending of the universe and the universe reset and the whole Made in Heaven event, dude, it was just so cool to watch. Oh my gosh, it was so fucking cool. But, well, we have the new universe now. I guess we'll talk about my thoughts on Poochie now. Next, Poochie, I don't know. He's really good. But, I don't know. I think he might beat Diavolo. But he definitely doesn't beat Dio or Kira. Or any of those people. I think if I had to pick, we'll just talk about part 1 through part 6 villains right now. We're not going to talk about anything about part 7 right now. But part 1 through part 6 villains, it would have to go from worst to best. Part 1 Dio, Cars, yeah, Cars, because even though, like, Cars is nuts, and, like, he's cool and all, he just has, like, one goal in mind, and it's just like, I just want the stone, It's all he really cares about. We have part 3, Cars, Diavolo, Poochie, and the whole reason I like him, or like Poochie, is just because of his whole relationship with Dio, and, we get to see all that stuff in part 6. Part 3, Dio, and then Kira. Dude, Kira is just on a whole nother level. Like, the whole speech, in part 4, oh my gosh. So peak. So good. But, oh my gosh, I cannot yap enough about this show. Because it's just so good. Oh my gosh. I love JoJo. I know I'm going to love it even more once I finish part 7. Because the yap's going to go on for so long. The yap's already been going on for so long for this video. But, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's my part 6 review. I don't think there's any more I really want to yap about. Just go and watch it. If you haven't watched JoJo, go start watching it. You'll like it the more you watch it, but it'll also get really strange the more you watch it. That's why it's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Because the more you watch it, the more it gets strange, and the more it gets good. So, go and watch it. But with that said, that is my part 6 review on JoJo Yup. And, well, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Speech on. Stop recording video. Button.